Welcome to Pucked Up Hockey Moms, where the arenas are freezing, the group chats are unhinged, and the parenting, well, let's just say we're doing our best. I'm Amanda, hockey mom, chaos wrangler, and proud captain of the Bad Mom Squad.
And I'm Brittany, mom of three, two who play hockey, expert at juggling carpools, cold coffee, and the occasional emotional breakdown in the arena parking lot.
We're here to spill the tea on what it really means to raise hockey kids, from politics in the stands to mental health, bad calls, and everything in between. No filters, no fluff, just the truth. With a side of sarcasm.
And yeah, we're laughing through the madness, because if we didn't, we'd be crying into a damp mitt left in the trunk since last season.
So if you've ever screamed, "Move your feet," while secretly Googling the rules mid-game, you're our people.
This is Pucked Up Hockey Moms.
Let's get into it. I'm your host, Amanda.
And I'm Brittany.
And this week we have with us both a talented player, business owner, and newly named head coach at the University of Davenport in Michigan for the female hockey team. Welcome, Coach Blake Hackbarth.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we're so pumped to have you here. Let's kick it off with, where are you joining us from today?
I'm located in Wyoming, Michigan, which is a small suburb outside of Grand Rapids.
Okay, cool. And is that where the university is?
The university itself is in Grand Rapids, the Grand Rapids address at least.
Nice.
You've got such a unique mix of coaching experience. So from Fox Cities to the ACHA, what first drew you to coaching?
I just wanted to stay involved with the game. I tell a lot of players, I never intended to make a career out of this. I just stopped playing, and I loved playing hockey, obviously. And so when my playing career ended, I was like, well, I'll just go and coach. And so I started coaching for my old high school and as just an assistant volunteer. And then, one thing kind of led to another, and COVID happened, which kind of helped in a way, even though it was a unfortunate time in world history. But it just I didn't want to go back to the job I had, and so then I was able to find a job coaching down in Knoxville, and I just haven't stopped. And so it's kind of led me all over the country both as a player and a coach, and it's obviously been a fun start to the first 7 years of my career. So that's kind of what led me to doing it.
That's awesome. Let's rewind a bit. And what was your own hockey journey like growing up in Wisconsin, and any standout moments from your junior career?
Yeah, so growing up in Wisconsin, our hockey's a lot different compared to a lot of the rest of the United States. So Wisconsin and Minnesota, we have some AAA programs and things like that, but even when I was a kid, those really didn't exist, at least not to the level they do today. And so I just played association hockey, and it's kind of like I explain it's kind of like a school district. If you live inside of these parameters, you play for this organization growing up, and then that's just kind of what we did. It was just the normal. And so then I played for my high school, and when I obviously going through the development process, and then I played in a bunch of other sports. So I never played AAA. The only AAA hockey I played was my senior year in the spring, just because I thought I was done with hockey. I didn't think I was going to keep playing after high school. And so, this is what kind of led me there. But I think the things that stick out to me the most from just playing are, a lot of the friendships I made. And then obviously going to the junior level, I was really fortunate to be a part of some amazing teams, both on the ice and off the ice. And I talked to a lot of those guys each and every day. We still have our old group chat from going on 10 years ago now. And we talk every day. We're meeting up on the end of August. We're all going to hang out, and so I've made lifelong friendships playing the sport. And then even bringing it back to youth hockey, I played for a co-op, so my high school alone couldn't support a hockey team. So we were comprised of three high schools. So my high school, Neenah High School, or Hortonville High School, Neenah High School, and then Menasha High School. And so I made a lot of friends growing up that didn't go to school with me. And so it helped me create a ton of relationships, and just and I always tell people too, sports are a great microcosm of life. And I think that what sports can teach you is just unlike anything else can teach you. It's just it's very unique, and it leads you on a journey, on a path that you can't really predict. It's just kind of rolling with the punches. And so that's kind of, some of those things that I take from my playing career and even coaching career now, just meeting all the different coaches. But I think some things that stuck out to me, besides like the relationships, was just the success we had. I played for some really great coaches, and we had a lot of success just on the ice too. And I'll never forget the state championships that we won through youth hockey. And my senior year, I think we went on a 24 game win streak at one point.
Wow,
And
that's crazy.
in my first year at junior, the team had never won a playoff game, and we went all the way to the final four. And so we had, I just I I know winning's not the end all be all, but the winning part was a lot of fun. And
Does
in
feel good,
addition,
it
in addition to doing it with all your best friends. So I think that's kind of some of the things that I take away from me outside of just the relationships. And I don't really care about any personal accolades or anything I ever did on my own. I just think about all the success we had as teams, and some of those memories that we can look back on as friends to this day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're with a team, you can relate to it and look back at those memories together. It's not like you're looking at yourself in the mirror and be like, hey, wasn't it great when I did this?
Yeah. And you just make those friendships, and I know it's kind of cliche, but even if you don't have success, if you have people that you like to do it around, I mean, I've been on teams that were like 500 too, and but I still like I love those teams, and I still love a lot of those guys, and I'll be at their weddings, and one of them just got married like 2 weeks ago. But those are the things, and like who would have thought 10 years ago that I'd be having these relationships with guys from Russia and the Northern Territories and all these random places. So it's just funny. I can kind of look at like my Snapchat snap map, and I zoom out, and the guys are just from all over the country, or all over the world, I mean. And so it's really cool, and you can't replicate that in a lot of different walks of life. Like, you have to kind of play sports and to meet a lot of those people in one area, just from a bunch of different walks of life that all just love the same thing. And so that's kind of what I take from my playing days, for sure.
It's hard to explain that to someone who hasn't played sports before.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is really fun to watch your kids do that as well. So
yeah, and I'm sure other sports can relate, but hockey is a pretty global thing. Basketball, and there's a lot of people that can play basketball in your town, but when you're from a town of, I think we had 1,000 people at one point. I mean, there's not a whole lot of hockey players in there, so you kind of have to venture out to meet people. And so I was lucky enough to have a lot of those resources and at my expense. So
that's great.
What was it like playing in the Frozen Four?
It was insane. I like recruiting. I tell people, like I said, I don't like to talk about my playing career that much, and like the personal side of things, but I just like, and it's unexplainable. Like, only the guys and the coaches and like our billet parents would like really understand that, whereas like it was like the first time ever, and we finally had a good hockey team. And I'll never forget coming out for the third period, and we were up in the series, or we were tied in the series, and it was a do or die game, and everybody was on the boards, and I have the video on my social media somewhere of when we actually won to go to the national tournament, and throwing all of our stuff off, and having that moment, not just with our teammates, but with the fans as well, and our billet parents and our actual parents that came to town, and just random people that you can really impact their lives, even if it's something as silly as a hockey game. And so that experience, and then just having the guys too, like I said, you have memories like that, and when you actually like your teammates, it's not just a thing that you did and kind of forgot about it. It's something that we did together, and we remember together, because there is a mutual respect and love there. And so, and then, when we got to the tournament, I mean, it was really cool to get to the tournament, and then we actually started kind of winning games, and I don't think we expected that either. I remember like showing up, and we were kind of it felt like we were outmatched, because we're just the kind of ragtag group of guys, and we didn't really have any overly talented, like we weren't overly talented, but compared to some teams, but yeah, and then we started winning. We're like, oh my gosh, like we actually have a chance to do this. And then we're 2-2 in the going into the final period, and we ended up losing. But even then, it was like, wait, are we actually gonna like win this game and go to the national championship? It was like we were we didn't know enough for our own good, and so we were just playing free. We were playing like kids, and we were just having fun, and we can still look back on it, and I don't have any regrets from that, and I don't think any of the guys would either. It was a really special group that got to do that.
Nice.
I love those kind of stories. That's great. It's like a band of misfits that
Yeah.
Mighty Ducks. That's what I thought it was playing. I'm like, this is the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, like we had great players, like, and I hate that I don't mean to talk down on them. Like they get it though. Like those guys are like, yeah, like we were just kind of like this ragtag group of guys that just didn't know any better, and we were just playing the game like a bunch of kids, and it took us a long way. And even though we didn't win, we did win in a sense. And but not only that too, like I can pull from those experiences as an adult and be like, if at some point in our life or my life you could overcome those odds, what else could stand in your way? Because it's it's just something that it was unlikely, but we were able to do it, and we deserved it too. It's not that we weren't deserving of it, but yeah, you can pull from that as as life goes on too.
Yeah, it's a great tool, a great resource. Are there any other standout moments from your junior career? I mean, that's
no, I gave you. I tend to ramble. I no, just the relationships, and I like I said, winning isn't the end all be all, but it was a lot of fun to. Like I said, I was a part of some really special teams that did some really cool things in the state of Wisconsin, and then obviously through junior hockey, and I was just lucky to be along for the ride too. So I mean, there's a lot of really talented players and really talented coaches, and then I could sit here and tell you about all the hotel stays and things like that, but I think that's I won 1 million championships in knee hockey, so I mean I can spell those out for you. So yeah, but no, I mean I think just the success, and even when we didn't have success, like I have got so many guys that I look to that I genuinely have a love and a care for them to this day, and they know that I know that they have the same feelings for me.
That's so great.
That's definitely a common theme when you talk to like people who've played hockey or coached hockey, that it's the friendships, it's the people you meet, the memories you make, like even for parents making like parent friendships. Your kids are playing.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is, because I played football, baseball, hockey, golf growing up, and there's nothing like hockey. There's nothing that compares to it. And I played every sport, and so it's I don't know why, but hockey is superior in that way somehow, some way.
Yeah, I played basketball, and that's not something I ever saw the same way as I see as a hockey mom in the hockey world. Yeah. So yeah, it's a bit different.
You've worn a lot of hats. So you've been coach, a mentor, operations guy, even programming director. Mm-hmm. How did your time in Knoxville with the Ice Bears shape your approach to coaching?
Well, with Knoxville, I got to do a lot of cool things. So like with Knoxville, I worked for Provision Hockey Academy down there. And so I got to do a lot of things on the programming front. I was a part of, I worked with a guy named Brian Hintz, and he gave me all the tools to start the learn to play stuff down there. And so we did, and like we worked on it together, obviously, but that was kind of my baby, if you want to call it that. Like that's what I did. It was a lot of, creating programs that kids can get into hockey and have the opportunity to play in a more isolated area, if that's what you want to call it. And they've taken it, and they've continued to grow the sport down there. And then just like working for the Ice Bears, it was just like a lot of random things they had me do, and getting to, I don't know how to say it, but just just having my foot in the door. I think that, with guys like Dave Feather and Mike Murray is like, they treated me like a peer. They didn't treat me like some 20, I would have been 22. So just like some 22-year-old kind of dork, just like there. And I mean, there's times like, and getting not just that, but like getting to learn the sport from like a front office perspective. Like I got to see a lot of things there too, like how they operate like the tickets and the corporate sales and how they find players and how they build their team, and just seeing everybody, and just being around the team. Like, I mean, I got to ref like a scrimmage once and things like that, and just meet a lot of cool people that have gone on and have done things previously to being there, and then obviously have continued to do things that way. But I think just learning a lot from just like the I don't know, the money side of things too, is just all the work that goes into running a professional hockey program, and then just running a training facility as well. It's a lot more that goes into it. People look at it from the outside and they're like, "Oh, that's easy." It's like, that's the toughest thing that you could possibly do.
Yeah. It's always easy when you're not the one doing it.
Oh,
yeah. It's they work like just animals. They're professional. They're professional. Like, we talk about professional athletes being professional, like, and having that kind of like killer mindset and attitude towards their craft. It's the same thing. I'm sure that's the same thing across a lot of different fields where people are passionate about things. But like, I always say that professional athletes are just professional all the time, and what those guys do, and anywhere in the front office of a baseball team, whatever it is. And my brother works in sports too, and so I've gotten to learn a lot that way, and those guys they're machines, that's for sure.
That's great hands-on business learning too, like great life lessons. And yeah, if you harness all the energy from competitive sports players and put that in a business or whatever that you're passionate, like, whew, that's a great tool. It's a great machine you can create.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. What inspired the creation of Be Ready Hockey? Like, was there a moment when you just knew you had to launch your own program?
Yeah, I get butterflies like talking about it to this day. It just like, it's something that to the outside eye, people are probably just like, oh, that's just a guy with a thing. But no, so and like, there's nothing wrong with it. I wanted to do it on my own. I was working for Provision and doing skills and things like that, and I miss like the X's and O's side of things. I like coaching skills, but I do really enjoy coaching teams too. I love the game planning, X's and O's, schematics, and so I wanted to go back home to Wisconsin and get back into coaching like high school and whatnot. And just so I literally, like, I have a picture of it. I had $2.97 left in my account, and I put everything on it, and then I just started sleeping on floors and just kind of bumming around, just me and my two dogs. And and it worked, and it was, I still do it, but it was very successful in the time that it was my primary focus. Now that I'm with Davenport, my mindset has shifted away from that a little bit, but yeah, it was it was awesome. It was stressful. It was tough, and nobody will ever know like what that was like. But yeah, just to start it, I think I just for one, I just wanted to do my own thing. My dad's an entrepreneur. My grandfather's an entrepreneur. And so I kind of come from that bloodline of being your own boss and things like that. But yeah, so I just kind of took a chance on myself, and my dogs followed me, and we packed up my BMW and just drove back to Wisconsin and put an ad out and said, hey, I'm going to start doing lessons. Hopefully everybody signs up, because if you don't, I don't know what I'm going to do. But yeah, it was a lot of work. I spent time just printing. I would work like through the mornings. So I'd work like 4 a.m. to 12 just printing signs. And then in the evening, while I was building my clientele, is when I would do my lessons. So I was going 20 hours a day, just grinding at it. And so it was, but it was so worth it. I'd do it all over again. And it taught me a lot about perseverance and just kind of going with the flow too. And not worrying and not panicking about your situations that you might find yourself in, because everything's solvable. It doesn't matter if you crash your car tomorrow. It might cost you some money, but you'll figure it out. And so it was more so personal growth too. And so I'm very grateful to all the clients that have trusted me and continue to trust me, and every single person that spent a penny on Be Ready Hockey. They do hold a special place in my heart, and I hope that I've always made them feel valued in that way for trusting me with their children and their development.
That's amazing. You definitely put your blood, sweat, and tears, literally, into
Yeah,
it.
no, literally, yeah. People say it. No, there was, there was blood, sweat, and tears. There was days where I was like, why am I putting myself through this? And yeah, it was good. I liked it.
You put all your great work ethic into it, so it obviously shows. So good for you.
Yeah, and there was no plan B either. That was kind of the thing, was like I didn't want anything to kind of fall back on, because I have shirts with what was Fox Valley Hockey Training, now Be Ready Hockey, but I have shirts and it's on the back, it says burn the ships, and there was, we're docking the ships and we're burning them, and there's no turning back, so you either make it or you make it, and so there was no other option. And like I said, though, it's all thanks to the people that trusted me, and with their children's development and their own development for some of the older people I worked with, and I give all credit to them for just trusting me and giving me the opportunity.
That's great.
Your mantra seems to be better humans, scholars, athletes. Can you break that down for the hockey parents listening at home?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, better humans, scholars, athletes. I mean, I tell recruits every single day too. It's still kind of my mantra. Is it doesn't. You can't look at people. You can't look at athletes like just athletes. You got to look at them like they're humans. They're not always going to be at their best. Some days their dog might die the 2 days prior, and they're just at 50%. And so understanding that they are athletes, but they're humans first, and that's why it's in that order. It kind of you can't be a great athlete if you don't have the grades, because you could be really good at something, but if you don't have the grades to kind of move you up, you're not going to have the opportunities. And then same thing, like creating better humans. Like when people would train with me, I expect them to be better humans, because if you want to move up in the world of the sport or whatever you're pursuing, you gotta be somebody that people want to be around. And so everybody that I came in contact with, it was everybody could learn something from hockey training. I've had parents tell me their kids started getting really good grades, and maybe their hockey wasn't even getting that much better, but they were afraid of like disappointing me or something like that. And so it's like, seeing kids get better at grades, or just being an outlet. Like I'm, just being somewhere where maybe they are getting picked on at school or whatever it is, but they knew, hey, I got Coach Blake tonight. I got a lesson with him for an hour. It's going to be a bright spot in my day. And so that's the kind of mindset I've taken into training. And we've created a lot of good hockey players, but at the same time, it's, been a good outlet, using hockey as kind of our outlet to improve in other areas, and just be a mentor in that sense, and helping people out that way. And so, yeah, I think that, and like I said, even for myself, you got to look at them like they're humans. They aren't just a piece of meat. You gotta care about everybody you come in contact with. And one of the best pieces of advice I heard when I first started my company was, chase money and it'll never come. Chase your passion and the money follows. And so I knew to never make it about the money and about the possessions and things like that, and focus on just no matter what's going on in my life, that I just give them the best hour that I possibly can. And so that's kind of better humans, scholars, athletes. I think you can apply that to anything in life too, and not just hockey, and just remembering the hierarchy of what's really important, because hockey only lasts for the world-class athletes for 20 years max past their youth hockey days. So it's a lot of time to be a human being in addition to an athlete.
Yeah, I use that for parenting. I say it all the time. I'm like, just be a good human. Like I don't care where you land.
Nice guy.
I don't care where you land. I don't care what your opinions are. Just be a good human. Like that's all that matters.
Yeah, just be nice.
Yeah, be a good human, because everything else will kind of line up.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah, it should. You're known for prioritizing small group development. Why is that more effective than traditional large-scale clinics?
I think just repetition, and not being stuck on and being actually coached. If you got a ratio of, let's say, 25-1, there's no possible way that the coach can see every mistake. And no matter how great that coach is and how hard they try, coaching is about, correcting and correcting the course that a player might be on. And so when you got one player out there, it's easy to correct. And you can still improve in large group settings, but let's just say that you improve 5% over an hour, where if you're one of 25, let's say you improve by 5%, where if you're one of one, you improve by 25%. And then you start stacking that. All right. So if I have 4 private lessons, I'm 100% better than I was 4 lessons ago. Whereas if I do, 4 25-person lessons, practices, whatever you want to call it, I'm 20% better than where I was previously. And so that's the kind of mindset I take to it. And I think that, it's just repetition. You don't get better by standing. You don't get better. I challenge you as parents, go watch your kids' next practice and tell me how many shots they take, because you need to take thousands upon thousands of shots to improve. And if there's 25 people on the ice and 20 pucks on the ice, it's going to be 7 shots in one practice. You're not going to improve on that. And so a lot of puck touches and working on the basics and things like that, and not having kids being able to hide and lose track of them. And so it's a lot easier to do when you only got 1 to 5 on the ice, or in a training setting, whatever it is.
That makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I watched camps where there's like a ton of kids and they're just standing in line waiting for their
it's just lines.
So they're not.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You've talked about consistency and accountability. How do you keep kids motivated without burning them out?
Yeah, that's a good one. I see it a lot, like with older players, especially coming from the high school level too. Like these kids are just gassed by November. I don't know when or where it started, because it didn't exist when I was a kid, at least in my area, where kids are playing for 4 or 5 travel teams in one summer. I talked to a kid one time, and this was softball, and they're like, "Yeah, I played 197 games this summer." I was like, "How is that even possible?"
Like 50 days. How is that possible?
Yeah, but it leads to an injury. Then you play that, you do that much, like you're gonna get hurt, and that's just like anything. And there's a reason that the NHL teams don't play. I mean, they're up in the games now to 84, but there's a reason they don't play 162 games. And so it's I think that, especially talking about burnout, it's a real thing. And I didn't really believe it. I thought like more is more, like more has to be more. But being intentional with what you do and consistent in your training, and quality over quantity is kind of how I shifted that. And you can go out on the ice 5 days a week, but if you're given 50%, 5 times 50, or 5 times 5, 25%, so whatever it is, I'm doing math off the top of my head, but if you're only getting 50% better over 5 days, because you can only give your 50%, that's just physically all you have, whether you like it or not. It makes it whereas if you go 100% for 3 days, that's 300% better, if you want to look at it that way, in some convoluted way. But that's the kind of mindset I look at. Yeah, so it's a 50% increase if you go 50% for 5 days, or 100% for 3 days, and it's quality over quantity. And I don't know, I say less is more, but obviously if you're given 25% 3 days a week, then then you're also not improving that way. So making the most of it, and not letting your kids get sick of the sport, or even professional athletes, junior athletes, that they're cognizant of how they train, and that they aren't that they're going to be in the best shape possible once March rolls around.
Mm-hmm. That they're taking breaks and rests when they need it. Rest your body.
Yeah.
Recuperate.
There's so many things. So many things.
Well, it's not even like on ice either. It's like when you travel, 8 hours there and back in a weekend, like, yeah, you're not doing anything, but mentally that kind of fatigues you. And, so there's a lot of ways in addition to just the on ice, I don't know how much energy you necessarily waste in a game compared to if you have a really good practice and a coach that runs a solid practice. But I look at the mental fatigue, and then the schoolwork too. These kids don't go to school on Friday anymore, it seems like. And I don't know, maybe that's something coming down the turnpike, where we just go to a 4-day work week as a continent or what, but but
I would. I hope you're right.
but yeah, I don't know. I look at that aspect of things too, where kids are missing. They got 180 school days and they're missing 72 of them for sports. Here and there, I totally get it, but it's just different at different times, and that is what it is.
Yeah, and that's where like the sports catered schools and academies come to effect, because they use the quality versus quantity effect for the schooling, right? Like they make sure they're putting the most efficient use of time for school
for the education
that I've seen in difference. And like I've seen my kids' grades go up in an academy situation versus a public school situation where they don't have sports in their day because you spread out, you do way more things, right? So and then they're not missing as much. So
and I've heard too, like talking about some like academies, like I've heard kids, like I've talked to kids where they're like, so I like ask them like, how do you balance like your school and your athletics? And they're like, well, I'm afraid to miss practice and go to study hall when I'm supposed, because I don't want to be benched for a game because they go to like an academy where they go to school from like, I don't know, 8 to 12. And then, they have the option to go from, 12 to 1 in the weight room with their team or study hall. And they're like, well, if I miss weight room or this practice, like I don't want, and like some coaches that kind of strong arm them in a way, and that does run through kids' minds too, even if they say like, oh no, it's not gonna affect your playing time. They get teenage kids, they're gonna look at that and they're gonna be like, well, Susie was in the weight room and I wasn't, and now she's already breathing down my neck to take my spot on the power play, like she's definitely going to take it now, and so that psychologically it does play a factor. I've talked to kids about that where hey, make your choice. It's not like this practice isn't mandatory, but your competition's going to be out here. And
it is hard to get out of that, because it is like, oh well, I see so and so's putting a lot more effort in at the gym after school. And you're like,
exactly.
And I gotta get
and I got an A+ on my test. I've got a 4.0 GPA.
My grades are perfect, but cool, thanks. It is a hard balance. So I know it is about balance, and as an adult, I'm still working on it. So it's hard to have the kids expected to know how to do it themselves.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. Especially when they're young like that, 14, 15 years old, in a host family or a dorm situation, it's tough.
Yeah, that's for sure. Do you believe hockey development is different in girls versus boys? And if so, how do you adapt your coaching for female athletes?
I mean, coaching females is different. I think that their females are probably more cerebral. They listen better. Like, I'm not saying males don't listen, but they apply things better. The best example I can use is I can talk to a group of females and just kind of as a whole, and they'll apply kind of what, like, even if I'm like talking to one person, like see one person screw something up, but or 2 or 3 people are struggling with a certain part of a skill or a drill or whatever, and you're just like, all right, that's enough people to just kind of tell everybody. But so even if you're not talking to the people that are kind of messing it up, you'll see them apply things. Or if you're teaching a system and you're telling it to a kid over here, and you haven't even told it to this kid, like that girl, you put her on the ice and she listens and she applies it. Whereas males, you have to, at least in my experience, you have to be more direct, if you will. And like, hey, this is what you have to do. And, the guy off to the side is going to be doing, that's just kind of how we're wired as, male versus female. So I think that for coaching females is just different in a good way. And not saying it's a bad way. It's just a different style of where females just tend to, I'm not saying that males don't listen, but they just listen. They absorb more, if you want to call it that. And you don't have to talk to them directly to get them to apply something. And so that's something that I've noticed. And then just how you talk to them too. I mean, males, it doesn't really matter what tone you use. They don't read between the lines with that. Whereas, with females, if you think you're just being positive and you're just saying something with just kind of monotone or something, they're like, hey, he must be mad at me. He's like, things like that. Or like if you text, or like a player texts you something and you respond with like a thumbs up or an okay, they're like, well, he's mad at me. And so it's like, no, really not. I'm just responding okay. It's like that's
So
something.
accurate. It's
Yeah.
so accurate.
We used to talk about that at Lawrence University. It was like one of the players said, guys like Coach I don't want to use his name, but Coach K, he's not actually mad at you. He's simply just an older middle-aged man, and that's just how he's just literally just saying okay.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. There's no undertone or
there's no implication.
Yeah.
No implication. Yeah, there's no implication, no undertone. It's just but you have to watch
not
that.
Around 15 years ago, so he would just say okay in person previously.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so like I said, there's they just read between the lines a little bit more, which isn't right or wrong, but as a coach, you just have to adapt or die and just understand that and get to know your players. And not everybody's like that, but more often than not, you might find that on the female side of things compared to the men's side. So, not saying that men don't have the same,
no, we get you.
Things that they
like
go through.
Boys, I find because I have one of each. So like my son is black or white. You have to give clear. No, I said do this. He's and I kind of assume he can figure out some gray area. Nope, zero gray area. You said this, and I'm like,
yeah.
I thought you had some common sense, but clearly you don't. Whereas my daughter can kind of move with it, and
it's like the memes where you see the wife and she's out and she's asked her husband to put the potatoes on the stove for dinner, and she comes home and potatoes
are just on the stove. They're not washed or in a pot.
Exactly. He listened. Exactly. Like you have to with males. With males, you have to give them a 7-step process. With females, it's more like I can just look at somebody and somebody completely different absorbs that information and applies it and problem solves in that area.
Yeah, whereas girls, we are emotional.
100%.
And we read a room and we read into everything. And I can say this because I'm female. But yeah, we do. We read into
totally
a lot
looked
of
at
things.
the okay text going,
is that
did I say something wrong?
Is that what kind of okay?
Totally done that.
Exactly. Yeah.
With my boss.
I think that's up to the coach too. I've had coaches where they're like, well, this generation's just soft and they don't know how to do this or that. It's like, well, just adapt, figure it out. You just stop coaching because you can't relate to them or you can't figure them out.
That communication in the beginning. Hey, if I reply okay, I just fucking mean okay. That's what it means.
Exactly.
Okay?
So it's but that's something I noticed, and I do that with all my players. When I meet them for the first time, I'm going through a lot of that now with my new team where I'm sitting down and I'm meeting with them all and asking them all these intricate questions about just how to talk to them and how to coach them. And I think that's just I should just be regular coaching nowadays, whereas 40 years ago it was just blow a whistle and yell and point, and not that it was wrong in that time of day. That's just how they did it. But but it's just adapt or die, and you got to be a good coach to adapt, and so that's the way I kind of look at it.
Yeah, you used to be able to just yell and they would just do. Now you can't. Yeah, although my kids don't respond well unless they're being yelled at, and that might say more about parenting style than coaching style. But
same.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Hockey's always evolving. Toe drags today, who knows what tomorrow. How do you keep up with all the trends without losing the core of what works?
Simplicity. I think that in order to be a good hockey player, you got to be able to skate, pass, and shoot. If you can't skate, it's not like basketball where you can run up and down the court and chuck up a shot. I'm not saying you're going to be a successful basketball player that way, but hockey, you could go a full season without touching a puck if you can't skate. And so if you got to be able to skate. And so I just focus on a lot of the basics and perfecting that. If you can't skate, you're for lack of a better term, you're useless on an ice rink. And if you can skate, but you can't catch a pass or give a pass, you'll simply never have the puck. The puck's you're always going to be chasing the puck down. And it's never going to be on your tape. And then I tell players too, at some point you got to be able to score and contribute to offense. So if you can skate well and you can catch and give a pass, you do at some point need to put it in the back of the net or help somebody put it back in the back of the net. And so that's kind of the thought process I take to that. And then as far as like improving like silly skills, or it's kind of what I call them, and things that, you might not use a lot, but you see kids that are able to, flip the puck on their stick and do all these crazy things with it, and just offering them free time. And when you work on like a lot, like when you like I call it the talent code. There's a book on it called the talent code, and that's kind of where that is where I got it from. But it's about, working on just the basics of the basics, and then all of a sudden, when you have like the basics perfected, you're able to do a lot more with that. And I've seen that with players where it's like, why are we doing, just carrying the puck on our backhand open ice carry up the ice? And it's like, because you don't, for example, you don't swing your arms, or like when you skate, you got to move your arms. But when you carry a puck, you skate like this, and you kind of you shorten your stride up. And so it's like, they're like, this is the easiest skill ever. Why do I need to practice? And it's like, because you can't do it. And so it's the best way I can explain it is we start with addition and subtraction in first grade for a reason. We don't jump right into calculus and trigonometry and multiplication and division, because you got to start at A before going to C, D, E, F, G. And so that's kind of my thought process, and it's redundant. It can be redundant, but if you practice it and you really work on it, it doesn't take that long to perfect it. And then just perfecting it in little intervals, and then all of a sudden you do start messing around with the puck, and you are able to do cool things with it. And because you have that really strong, solid foundation. You're not building a foundation on sand. You're pouring the best concrete that you possibly can to put your house on.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you find that kind of like helps break habits too, like from other places? Because you're getting players from a bunch of different backgrounds too. So if you're working on the basics together, they're kind of all starting on the same path with you, right?
Yeah. And it's like, I tell kids like that I've worked with where, they are new to the sport. It's like, all right, this is great because, you don't have anything to fix. And I've had kids be like, you try to tweak their shot a little bit, and they'll be like, but I can't lift the puck anymore. It's like, well, you are shooting it harder, even though it's, on the ground. And they're like, I want to do my old shot. And it's like, just trust the process for a month. Trust the process for a month. And you'll see a lot of progress. But a lot of people want to skip the steps, and they want to move on to things. Or I'll have parents, and bless their hearts, they'll be like, I think that my kid needs to work on this, and it's like they're not there yet. And like, we can work on that, and you can maybe be good at that one skill, but that one skill you're good at isn't going to translate into 7 other skills that you could be good at by just practicing this super basic skill. And so obviously the older you get, the better you get, the more you can add to that toolbox. But it's a process, and that's kind of my thing, is that we got to work together for a long time to make sure that we're moving up in school, and in our hockey school, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. So back to the decision for coaching and stuff for you and the change. Did you have a moment where you're like, yep, this is it, I'm meant to be a coach?
Yeah. I didn't think I was gonna like coaching. Quite honestly, I loved being a hockey player. I was ready to be done playing hockey when I did end up, ending my hockey career. But I really didn't think I was gonna like it. And then our first scrimmage, there was a kid. He actually, I don't want to say his name, but he plays for the Chicago. He plays for the Chicago Bears now, and so you can do a quick Google search on that. And he just obliterated a kid across the middle. And I just felt like all those rushes as a player, where I was like pumped up like on the inside, and I was like, oh, that was awesome. And like I was like, I like instantly like fell in love with coaching. I was kind of unsure about it, and I was having fun like up until then. Like, we had only been like practicing a week or two up into that point, but like getting behind a bench again, even though I was a coach, I was like, I like coaching better than I like playing, and I never thought that would be possible. But yeah, it was a hit, and it was just, and not that I like to see high school kids get demolished, but I was like, wow, that was, I felt the rush of adrenaline again, and kind of that competitive fire came out. And because that's what I was worried about with, anybody that knows me would say that I'm a pretty competitive, fiery guy on the ice when I played. And you can't really be that as a coach, but I got those feelings, and that adrenaline rush was, something that I missed from my playing days, and I felt that, and just seeing, like, there was another situation where we were in practice in my first year coaching, and I like gave a tip to a kid on something he could do to create offense, and I still remember it. I remember the kid's name and everything. And I told him to hunt the dots. I was like, stop the drill, stop practice. I was just an assistant coach. And I was like, hey, if you were to move, if that puck goes to that spot again and you were to move to this spot on the ice, guarantee you get the puck, guarantee you score. Restart the drill. His next shift, 10 seconds in, it happened. And I just remember that rush too of, I just told that kid to do it and he did it. And he's happy. He's having success. And, I'm always happier for other people's success. And so to see somebody else have that aha moment or that elation of success, that's something that I love about coaching, and something I just helped me fall in love with it. And so, yeah, like I said, long story short, I didn't think I was going to like it just because it's a button down version of playing, but that's not the case at all. That's what I thought it was going to be. And, just being on a bench and being able to do all the X's and O's and things like that and just seeing kind of, being putting players in positions to succeed, put it that way, and seeing them have success is I'm sure as parents, I don't have kids, but I'm sure as a parent, when you see your kid have success, it just probably brings something out in you and so obviously, the players aren't my kids, but in a way, it just feels like
the
you're
team
just happy for
becomes
them.
yours, right? Like the team becomes kids, because like I will cheer for the whole team, and like watching them from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, it's exciting to watch another kid. Like when a kid hasn't scored all season and they get their first goal, like I've had tears in my eyes for a kid before that watched miss the net over and over and over. Like you just get so excited for them. So to be the person that's helped them get there would be even more exhilarating, I think. So
I don't know, maybe it's just a maturity thing too. I watched a kid hit a little league, he hit a home run in a little league game. His mom's going crazy. And even like that, like I was just watching it, I felt like so happy for that kid. I just happened to be walking by a little league field, and I saw the kid hit it. I was like, oh, that's probably his first home run over a fence, and his mom's freaking out in the crowd, and that was his moment. And so to see a kid have that, I think that's kind of what drew me to coaching at that level, and just helped me want to keep coaching.
Yeah, it's so relatable too, right? Because you can remember all those times that you've had those success, and then it just it's pretty cool.
What's one hard-earned junior hockey lesson you still pass down to your players? So, like, for example, I remember as a kid, all the things like your parents told you, and you're like, yeah, whatever. And then as you get to an adult, you're like, oh, yeah, you were right.
No, I think it's kind of cliche, but life's not fair. Nobody cares, like, what you're going through. As harsh as that sounds, people, seem to look out for themselves before others, and not everybody, but especially when a revolving door, which is junior hockey, it's they're always looking for your replacement, call it that, and that's their job, and what they're there to do, and obviously build a good program. And so it's not a personal thing. But I had a coach tell me once, I decided, like, I was like kind of mulling some offers, and he said, like, well, I need an offer, or I need a decision, and it's not personal, it's just business. And I was like, well, I'm not, I guess my decision isn't to go here. And so and just it's there's a lot of lessons I took from it, but like I just kind of, my dad was really good at making sure that we didn't make excuses growing up, and just kind of pushing on, persevering, and everything's fixable. And something, you could have a million things go wrong, but you just fix one thing at a time. And but I think the best, but they're hard lessons to learn, but they're necessary. Like it's important to go through those things, and it kind of helps shape you. And there's two ways you can go about, successes and failures, and you can, back away or just keep pushing forward. But I also think, like, I wouldn't have become a man if I hadn't gone through junior hockey, like at any level, just to, get out of your comfort zone and move far away. And live in a literal stranger's house, which your parents tell you to not do your entire life, and then they drop you off in the middle of nowhere, and they're like, "Oh, well, good luck, buddy." It's like, all right. But yeah, and so like those situations, like, but they really help shape you, and I think that anybody should take that opportunity if they have it at any level, and just learn how to live, because you really have to grow up really quickly, and learn how to be an adult, and manage your time. And it's tough. We would go on the ice in the morning, and then we'd go to our lift until we're going like 6 to 12, and then 12 to 3 we're doing study hall and school, and taking college classes and doing all that stuff, and then I was working 3 to 11 p.m. And so it was tough, but like now I can look back as an adult and be like, there's no schedule that's going to even come close to those things. And so I think that's the lesson I learned, was just keep pushing forward. There's going to be good times. There's going to be bad times. You're going to be in a slump. All of a sudden you're already stressed out and you're irritable. And then, you get bumped down a line or kicked off the power play. And, everybody wants to turn and run the other direction and look for the greener grass. But I always think that, you should water the grass you stand on. And so I think that you're learning loyalty too is kind of something really important. And if you stick through things, because there was my first year of junior, coach put me on the first power play, first time we ever practiced it, I screwed it up immediately. So I'm a first year guy. I'm on the first power play, and I screwed it up. I just butchered it. He kicks me off of it, and it's like I could have turned and tucked tail and just, well, coach hates me, I'll just go find a team that wants me. And he stuck it out and stick it out for a number of years, and I wouldn't change those things for the world. But he did those things out of a place of love and care and respect. So that was what it was.
That's great. So speaking of that, trust is huge, especially these days with kids having like a million different coaches in their ear or stuff online. How do you build that trust with your players, whether it's in university or with Be Ready Hockey?
Yeah, I think I kind of touched on it earlier, but they're human beings. They're gonna have bad days. They're gonna have days where they snap at you, and you can't take it personally, but you can't get people to trust and believe in you if you don't have their respect. Respect is earned, not given, and I truly believe that. And a way that you can earn respect is by not playing a character. I see sometimes where coaches want to act like they're Herb Brooks because Herb Brooks won a championship in the 1980s and think that's the end all be all to being a good coach. But being yourself too. I've said that I got really good advice from a former coach of mine, because I wanted to wear my like a kind of a funny suit, and I was like, well, are people going to take me serious? And because I'm just kind of outlandish like that. I've always just kind of had that personality. He's like, who cares? He's like, somebody in this. I was like, well, are they going to think that I'm, not taking my job serious, anything like that? He's like, no, just don't. That's who you are. Just don't play a character. Just be yourself. And if people don't like it, if they don't like it, he said, screw them with an FU with that started with an F though. So but like that was really good advice, because it was just be yourself. Don't play a character. Kids and players, they'll see right through that when you're trying to be something that you're not. If you're trying to be like this hard ass coach, and sorry if I don't know if that's language is allowed. If you're trying to be that type of coach, and that's just not who you are, and at the vice versa, like you're never going to please everybody. Like, you just be yourself. And some people want a super disciplinarian, quiet coach, and some people want a hard-nosed coach, and some people want a softer coach. Like, there's going to be a million people. Just got to be yourself, and I think that's how you earn respect, is by not playing a character. And so that's kind of what I look towards, and then like I said, just look at them like they're humans. They're not just I want to hear when you get a job, your dream job 20 years from now, and I want you to feel comfortable to come back for your alumni skates, and I want to hear when you have your first kid, and and just, but that comes when you establish an actual relationship with them. And relationships are just really important in coaching, and so that's kind of the mindset I take take to it. I think I answered the question. I'm trying to remember it as I'm kind of talking through that.
Yeah, for sure.
No, that's good. I like it. It's good.
What's something you think young players totally miss when it comes to real skill development? Like it's something that they don't want to hear, but they really need to.
Yeah, simplicity. I think it's probably more parents. Simplicity, simple skills. This being able to skate, pass, and shoot. You got to be able to do the little things. We can teach you to do the Michigan. I don't like. You might score one. I don't. Maybe 10% of the population scores a Michigan goal in their life. I promise you'll be able to do it naturally if you just practice a bunch of different things and hand-eye coordination. And I kind of touched on it earlier, but just pushing a puck on your back end. There's an alarming amount of kids that can't do an open ice carry while skating with their arms and pushing a puck in front of them and carrying it through people. And at the same time, parents want you to teach them how to toe drag and stick handle through people's feet and do this, that, and the other thing. And so there's obviously some benefits. Obviously you practice those things and those small micro skills, but I think that simplicity and just perfecting the minute details is really important. And then it just, like I said, it just kind of spreads into other areas. If you're really good at a couple of things, everything will kind of happen naturally. Like being able to do the Michigan is just hand-eye coordination. And so how do you build hand-eye coordination? You can do that with a tennis ball in your yard or anything. It really doesn't matter. You don't need to waste ice time doing those things. I think it's just a lot of repetition and perfecting it, and it's really basic skills. I mean, kids trying to take a wrist shot and not a snapshot, and making sure that they can do things like that, and just having a lot of tools in their toolbox and in their arsenal.
Yeah.
What's one thing hockey parents think matters that really doesn't?
Okay. How much time do you got? There's so many things, and bless it doesn't come from a place of negativity. It usually, you see these players that are at the top of their profession, and I think we use like Connor McDavid as the baseline, and that's the 0.00001% of talent. And I think it comes down to like getting parents to understand the details, the long game, especially like it doesn't matter where you are at the age of 8. I think I saw it on a Facebook post today where it was like, I think my kid's an elite 8-year-old, and it was like, oh, like, yeah, so it might be, but there's a lot that goes into to development. And I personally, like, I didn't really start developing till I got in high school. I mean, I was 5'2" and 100 pounds, and so yeah, it was a little bit harder to play, pee-wee hockey. We did hit, and I've never been afraid or anything like that, but it was really easy to knock around a 4'7", 80-pound Blake when you were, a 5'8", 140-pound kid at the age of 12. And so I think people see that, and they're like, well, that kid's a lot better. And, some of it's physical. And I mean, I'm living proof. I went growing up, we had an A, B, and C team. I was a Mite C, Pee Wee C, Pee Wee B, or Mite C, Squirt C, Pee Wee C, Pee Wee B, Bantam B. And then I didn't make my first A team and that's kind of like our levels in Wisconsin Association hockey is A, B, C, C1, C2. And then, and I didn't make my first A team until my second year of Bantams, which was my freshman year of high school. And then I made the JV team, and then I made the varsity team my junior year when I sprouted up to, a decent height and found the weight room especially too. And so it was, it just takes time. And I think that people want to rush the process instead of trust the process. And there's a guy that I know, he says it really well, is just be better at 18 than you are at 8 years old. And so be better at 18 years old than you are at 8 years old. And so I think that people don't want to hear about Rome wasn't built in a day. They want, instant gratification. They want it now, and they want that success, sometimes more than their kid wants it. And so that's something I look at. Just let them have fun. If they're elite, they'll find it. They'll be elite. And it just takes time. Everybody grows at different rates, and it's very uncommon to be the best kid from start to finish. as a young kid. That's a very, very uncommon thing. A lot of people start off really strong and then they fall by the wayside by the time they get to high school. Some people start off slow and they catch up later, and so it's a definitely a marathon, not a sprint when it comes to development. And you see it all the time in the NHL too, where they want to give up on the 4th overall pick after a year because he had to spend an extra year in the minors. And so it's Sam Bennett's a great example of that. He got shipped out for a bag of peanuts from Calgary, and now he was playing the best hockey in the playoffs.
You kind of answered my other one, because I was going to say, on the flip side, what's one thing most families overlook? But you're pretty much saying consistency, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, to be great at anything, you got to practice it. Like, I'm not saying that you can, go 8 years without practicing something and, jump in and be great. But, just because your kid develops at a slower pace doesn't mean that they're destined for failure and destined to not accomplish their dreams. And practice helps. I'm not going to say that it doesn't. Like the kids that put in work, like they'll make up for the ground. But there's some kids that are just naturally have God-given talent that just start off at a higher clip than some kids that just don't have that natural athleticism. And you can build that athleticism, but you also have to understand that life's not fair. They started at the 10th percentile, and you're starting at the 50th percentile of skill. And so it's going to take a lot of work to catch up, and that's nobody's fault. It's just how life goes. And so just kind of working through things and sticking with the process. There's going to be frustrations and steps backwards, but just keep pushing forward and persevering. And if you really care about something, you'll find a way. Everything's solvable, and you can accomplish anything if you really put your heart to it.
Yeah. So part of what drew me to you is one of the groups or whatnot, you were giving information breaking down college pathways. It happened to be in a female setting, so I'll start there. But what are a few key shifts parents should be aware of in the college pathways?
I think that have your kid answer their phone. There's a lot of misconnections. I should say answer your email. It's a lot easier to find emails, and even that, like parents, like answer your email. And then take it. I mean, I would say take any connection that you can, even if you're not interested. You never know where somebody's going to end up a year from now. Like a coach from a NCAA Division III university, all of a sudden he's coaching as an associate head coach of a NCAA D1. I was a part of a staff where that happened, where the coach moved from a NCAA D3, moved up to NCAA D1, and he called me about one of my players because he knew of her. And he was like, well, what's she like? And, they weren't interested when he wanted her. And then, as soon as they wanted him, he's like, well, you didn't give me the time of day. Well, I'm not going to give you the time of day. And so misconnections is a big one. I'm not saying that coaches act like with malice intent like that, but if you give them the cold shoulder and you act like you're, big time in them, if you want to call it that, that can rub people the wrong way. But there's a lot of different avenues. So like I say, answer the phone. Be open to other opportunities. I think some people are very specific in what they are looking for, where they need to, maybe that's not what's, available to them. And so then you have to make the decision, like, what am I prioritizing? Am I prioritizing playing college hockey just to play college hockey, or am I prioritizing the education side of things and understanding that you have to kind of be flexible in that sense, because it's very tough to find perfect. And there might be 9 out of 10 great things about somewhere, and you're still searching for the perfect 10 out of 10. And so there's going to be things that you have to kind of give and take with. So I think that, just being available. I mean, really the biggest thing is answering and no misconnections, because like I said, those connections go a long way in how you treat people. And I really I mean, that's the biggest thing. There's a lot of players that I reach out to, and it's you don't hear from them for 2 months, and I check your spam folder, check your junk, check everything, check your email. And whether you're a player or a parent, because there's sometimes that information gets put somewhere and it's a parent's email, and as a coach, you want to talk to a kid and you have no way of contacting him, and the only way is through a parent, you're going to take that chance. And so just being open to that. And if you aren't interested, just being respectful and honest about that, not wasting a coach's time. And then, I mean, if you're looking for opportunities, it's about turning every stone over. There, emailing coaches is something that's very common. There's some showcases that are really good. There's a lot of opportunities to be seen, especially in the social media days, and especially on the boys' side. Like, I'm sure you guys are probably a part of some of the same groups as me on Facebook, but every day there's a kid like, I'm a 2007 from Latvia, I'm looking for a team in the United States, and it's got 27 comments on it, and like it's just a new day and age of recruiting and how things go about. But you go through Twitter, I mean, I could sign an entire baseball team today. They put everything on there, like, oh, I'm entering the transfer portal. Like, there's a lot of different ways to find players nowadays, in comparison to 20 years ago, where it was no social media, no highlights or anything. It was just go to a rink and hope that you find that kid that you're looking for. And so times have changed, and I think that's for the better. I think the more kids that we can give opportunities to, I think is definitely worth it.
Yeah, that's great.
If a kid doesn't make the top team this year, what advice would you give them and their parents heading into the season?
Don't blame the evaluators. Don't blame the coaches. My gosh, that's such, it sounds, I mean, that was kind of a tough way of saying it, but I've been a part of a million evaluations. I have never, ever, 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 ever sat even for a second where a coach was like, well, this kid's that we're gonna, even though they're not supposed to be on this team, we're gonna give this kid the opportunity. That's never happened. I know people say that's politics and whatever. Maybe I'm naive. I say that, and people are gonna probably comment that no, there's definitely politics everywhere, because I at least where I'm from, kudos to the Appleton hockey area, because there's no politics in that whatsoever, or Wisconsin in general. I've done a million evaluations, but kind of building on that too, it's a really bad look. Word travels. If you start bad mouthing evaluators and a coach, that you will not make a team. Coaches don't want to deal with parents that are going to be a pain, or detract from the overall camaraderie from a team. And when they see things like that, where they're getting lambasted online, why would they want you in their environment? I think that goes for anything. Why would you be allowed to keep a job where you show up every day and you put a riff right in the middle of it? And so I think culture is, I mean, that's really important. And my dad is, like I said, he's an entrepreneur. His average tenure for his in-house employees is like 25 years. And when you have a culture, people stick around, and when they believe in you, they do really good work for you. And so if you have a parent that is going to cause a bunch of headaches and rip away from that and the overall dynamic of the team, it definitely makes a difference. But to take that a step further outside of just that, because that's the biggest thing I see is everywhere, is just persevere. Just you can be mad at the world. I always say that you should never try to get revenge. As a Christian Catholic, I think that everything's not about proving people wrong. I take that energy that you want to into proving someone wrong, and put that energy towards proving people right that believe in you. And so that's kind of the mindset I take. Is you're I think it builds character. I've been around parents where I was with I used to work with a kid. He's very, very talented for his age. He makes every team, and his dad was like, well, I kind of want to have him just try out for this really good team and have him get cut from it, just so he doesn't get a big head, which sounds like mean or harsh to do to your kid. But he's like, and not that his kid was like that at all, but I think like that was I really respected that. He was like, I don't want him to think he's better than he is. I kind of want to put him in a place where he does get cut, and he kind of learns what the other side of this feeling is like, because he just makes every team he tries out for, and he scores a lot of goals. He has a lot of success for his team. But and that's something I look at. It's not a bad thing to get cut. It's not a bad thing to learn. And I think it just builds a kind of calluses you, and it helps to build you into a better human for sure.
Yeah, I believe in that too. Like, I mean, you can learn more from a loss than you can a win. Winning is super fun, but
It is.
like, learn, it's great. Everybody loves it. It feels so great to win, but you don't necessarily take away things that you could have done better in a win because you don't look at it. You're just like, boom, that's great. Walk away.
Yeah.
Whereas you analyze the losses and you
can learn from
a lot more from the losses. So
and winning's not the end all be all. I ask a lot of players that, like, if we lose a game like 3-1 and we outshoot them 20, let's say 54-12, and they're like, I ask them, like, well, how do you guys think you played it? It's always bad. Like, they always like look at the scoreboard and no matter what, like they played bad because they lost. Where as like you look at it, you're like, guys, like, what are you talking about? We had the puck the entire game. We made a million more passes. We had 2 breakdowns, and their goalie made 56 saves. Like, what are we talking about?
It was on fire. You guys were awesome. If they didn't have that goalie, you totally would have won.
Yeah, and it's not giving them a false sense of hope. Like, it'd be different if they got outshot 60-12, and you're telling them they did great. But it's I think that people look at it very black and white, where it's win and loss. Win, I did good. Loss, I did bad. And whereas you can get cut and be on a better path. It tells you that you aren't where you need to be, and and good evaluators, they'll tell you what you need to work on and have notes for you. And then obviously winning at the same side, like, you can play terribly and accidentally win a game, and that doesn't erase the stink of I mean, it does, but it doesn't. As a coach, I guess maybe it's just from a coach's perspective. I've been in wins where I'm like, did we really win that game, or did the win just go in the column? And so it's a lot of people don't understand that. They want instant gratitude. Fans of professional sports, they think that their team's going to go undefeated, and every time the Tigers lose a game, even though they're the best team in Major League Baseball right now, the world is falling down every time they lose a game. And I'm sure that that's kind of they feel that too, where it's like, we're playing 161 other games. We're going to lose games. We're not going to be perfect. And so getting people to understand that perfection is the enemy of progress is what my dad would say.
Yeah, that's true. Perfect analogy. Sorry. I'm so punny. I can't help it. You're stepping into a big role at Davenport University. What excites you most about this next chapter?
My players. They push me. They drive me to want to do great for them. I think that out of anything, and there's a lot of other things that go into it, and proving the people that believe in you correct, and that told me that I should take this opportunity and that they think I'd be good at it, and the people that hired me to that they made the right choice. And it's not to prove the people that cut me from my pee-wee hockey team wrong or anything like that. It's just trying to prove the people right. But I think about the players. They've been through the ringer here. They deserve to have some success. They deserve to have a coach that's gonna fight tooth and nail and be passionate and do absolutely everything they can to put them in positions to succeed and take care of them and help put them on a path where they can leave our university and have success. So long answer short, I whenever I don't want to do something, I just think about just my players and what they want, and the goals they want and what they deserve to have. They put in a lot of work, and they haven't had a whole lot of they haven't been recognized or had a whole lot of success lately. And I just see that in them. And when I interviewed with everybody and they had me interview with the players, like, that was kind of the nail in the coffin for me. Was like, I just saw how I don't want to say defeated, but kind of broken down they were just over the course of the last couple of seasons that they've gone through. And so I just want to give them everything. My assistant coach is an alumni, one of my assistant coaches, and she deserves to have success for her previous university. And so I just think about all those people, and that's what drives me. I want them to have success, and they make me feel very valued and wanted. And I just want to I want to be there for them, and I want to return the favor for everything that they've given me in the short 2.5 months that I've since I've taken the job.
That's great.
How do you define success? So not just in a season, but over a player's kind of career, like their long-term journey.
Yeah, if they leave, I'll just use kind of like the university as an example, because that's kind of the end of their hockey career. There's not a whole lot of hockey after that. Obviously, yes, there's the PWHL and some European professional leagues and things like that, but those are very, very, very tough to get into. And so, not saying we shouldn't have dreams to shoot for, but just being realistic with that. But when a player leaves their hockey career, I want them to just have success in life, and I want them to go into the workforce and have the opportunity to get a job that they love. I've just from personal experience, I used to like the job I had before coaching, but I love what I do now, and I want them to experience that, because that is a different part of life. Like when you actually wake up every day, like tomorrow's July 4th, and I'm like, I can't go to work tomorrow, and I'm kind of bummed out about it because the rink's going to be locked. And so, but like when you really love something that much, I think everybody should have that. And I just want them to have success and live happy, healthy lifestyles, whatever that is. If they want to have a family, I want them to, have the means to be able to do so. I want them to be able to have a career that they love, that they have people in their corner that they can talk about, like I talked about at the beginning of this episode, where they can look back 10-15 years from now and have those relationships still. And I could sit here and say, success is just, making a bunch of money and winning a bunch of Stanley Cups. But at the end of the day, success is going to be whatever happens once hockey is over. And because that's what's gonna, they're not gonna have the Stanley Cup at your deathbed, unfortunately, for a lot of people. So it's the people that yeah. So I think it'll be the people that you had an impact on that'll be there for you. And so I want that for people. And if I'm just a small piece in helping guide that path, and one of many people and part of their hockey village, I'm happy to be that. And to me, that would be what a successful hockey career is.
That's awesome. I love how passionate you are about it. So they're really.
I love it. I love it.
I wish I could be paid to be a hockey mom.
That would be fantastic.
But
yeah, true. I mean, you get this podcast going. I mean, start making some ad revenue.
Yeah, like I keep paying out, but I don't get paid in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I send my child away, one of them. So yeah, it's extra expensive. Like to get rid of them, I don't even understand how that's possible, but it is. Yeah. What's one piece of advice you'd give every young coach out there?
You're their coach, not their friend. I run into that a lot, where people want to be the good cop all the time, especially with young coaches, like first year coaches. Like I'm sure it's kind of similar in parenting. I've seen it where they're like, parents have asked me to discipline their kids, and it's like, oh, that's not my job. And so it's like, but they don't want to do it because they don't want their kid to be mad at them. Whereas like as a coach, like the advice I give is be their coach, not their friend. And it doesn't mean that you can't be a mentor. That doesn't mean you can't have a great relationship with them and their family. But just understanding those lines, and then, meaning what you do. And so everything you do with a purpose, and being there for them, and supporting them in every way, but also just understanding that the lines that you have to follow, and to be a successful coach. And so I always tell people too, is that I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. I know that's tough, and that stinks when you want to be told positive things all the time and instant gratification. But at the end of the day, if you're not being the best version of yourself, the people that care about you most are going to be the ones that help you in those times. And if you are going down a bad path, that they correct it for you. And like I said, telling people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. It can come from a place of love and respect. And it should come from a place of love and respect, but that's really important, that you don't just tell people things without, your word becomes kind of minuscule when you're constantly giving, telling people just whatever they want to hear. And so that's kind of the mindset that I take into it. And I see that a lot with younger coaches of just wanting to be the good cop all the time and making one cop or one coach the bad cop, and then everybody hates that coach. And so it's there's a definite balance there. Just, watch your lines and understand that they're there to become better hockey players and tell them what they need to hear.
Absolutely, for sure. Well, thanks for joining us, Blake. Can you let listeners know where they can follow your work or get in touch?
Yeah, www.bereadyhockey.com. Facebook, my name is Coach Blake Hackbarth. Instagram, Be Ready Hockey. I've got a bunch of things. I've got like Blake Hackbarth Scouting. The list goes on and on. But yeah, I think Facebook's a really good spot for it, coach, and that one's Coach Blake Hackbarth. It's verified, so it's got a blue check mark, so it's actually me. And I'm always happy to talk hockey with anybody and help people on their path. And I love getting questions and answering them. And like I said, just being a small part of of anybody's hockey village and helping them. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a path. And but it is about just taking that time to get to know them.
We will throw all your links and how to find you in our show notes. But thank you for sharing your story of your journey. And we're super excited to see how your first season goes. So
there you go.
We'll keep up to you guys. But it's
I guess if you're gonna follow anything, I'd follow Davenport women's hockey. I mean, that's the most important thing to me right now. So I want those girls. I want them to have the most support. I don't need the support for myself. If anything, follow them and follow their journey, because they deserve it. They put in a lot of work for not a lot of recognition. And I know I talk a lot about instant gratitude, but if anybody deserves some gratitude, it's those girls. And I adore that team.
That's great. Well, we're excited to see their journey too. So again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us this week on Pucked Up Hockey Moms. We seriously appreciate you listening, laughing, and surviving the hockey mom life right alongside us.
Whether you're in the stands, stuck in carpool, or hiding in the rink bathroom for 5 minutes apiece, we see you and we're right there with you.
This episode was proudly brought to you by AAA Hockey Recruiting, your go-to for player development, showcases, and getting noticed at the next level.
Whether you're aiming for junior, prep, or NCAA, they've got the tools, the know-how, and the hookup. Check them out at AAAHockeyRecruiting.com and tell them the Bad Mom Squad sent you.
Until next time, stay loud, stay proud, and stay a little bit pucked up.